Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to one of the greatest MMA grapplers in the world. Ryan Hall, very good to see you up against Darrick Minner at UFC 269. It's all happening. It's nice to be back. How's the hand? How are you? How's preparation?
Hand is back to 100%, which was a nice welcome change to having a completely functionless hand. Everything else is good. Training's been fantastic. Just excited to get back in the ring.
Darrick Minner, 26-12. He's coming off a loss to Darren Elkins. How do you like him as an opponent?
Very much, Minner's a tough guy. He grapples a lot. He'll strike. He'll mix it up. I'm looking forward to fighting on Saturday, and he's got a great deal of experience. And I'm looking forward to going in there, fighting great, and coming out with a good result.
You train a lot with Thanh Le, right? I interview him quite a few times because obviously we're out in Asia. He's a great champion. How's important has he been in your camp, and how fun is he to have around the gym?
Oh, Tan's always incredibly important. We were training together just this past week. He's been absolutely instrumental in my training for this camp and for all my other fights since getting into the UFC. I'm helping him get ready for his fight against Gary Tonin as well. We're always working together. I've also worked a great deal with Darren Waniyama, a good coach and friend of mine. He's a former UFC fighter and high-level coach now, Greg Jackson as well. Obviously, always in touch with my friends from TriStar. And then also a guy, one of my training partners and friends now, Eddie Abasolo, has been helping me out a great deal. Really, really great Muay Thai style striker. So just excited to get back in there.
Do you have any are you pissed off at all with like canceled fights in 2020, 2021? I mean, how annoying is that for you? Is that the pandemic? And do you think, would you be ranked right now if it wasn't for that?
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest with you. I would be lying if I said I wasn't annoyed. I mean, I get religiously ducked by everyone for an extended period of time. I don't fight for 2 years. And then, I deal with a string of injuries. I had 2 surgeries during my last camp, just fought anyway. And then I immediately break my hand. And then in the next half a second, I'm headbutted really badly during the fight. And then that didn't contribute to anything good. It's just kind of like a car crash or a plane crash, I guess, of bad luck and some of the other ones. But, it was, I'm just excited to be back here. It spurred on some important training changes and growth that needed to happen anyway. And, everyone had to deal with the pandemic, but there was a pretty series of unfortunate events as far as I was concerned. But I'm excited to get back in, face a good opponent, and then move forward.
It's an absolutely ruthless sport. Do you think you're owed some good karma in a way from this sport?
I shudder to say it because you're not owed anything really, but it would be nice. I've had extended periods of time off. It's been very frustrating, and that those layoffs have never been due to due to my own design. It makes it tough to fight, to get into a rhythm, I think, as a competitor. And then some of the injuries. I had my fight with Dan Ige earlier this year. It was going to happen, and then I was already dealing with some pretty significant injuries prior to that. Then tearing my hip flexure, rectus femoris 3/4 of the way off the bone. That was a rough one. That was pretty serious. And then the 2 surgeries on top of that, and then breaking my hand. But it is what it is, and you have to just kind of roll with the punches, literally, figuratively, and then try not to block punches with my face from a walking can of Axe body spray next time.
It's always good, before interviewing fighters, reminding yourself and kind of reading up on them. People absolutely love you, on the internet, in the MMA world. I find, and I saw a lot of people like, oh yeah, the fighter I'm most looking forward to seeing this weekend is Ryan Hall, which is really cool. I mean, do you sometimes feel that or not really?
Wow. I mean, no, honestly, I never would have thought of that. If anything, I have a list of people that sent me like hate mail from my last fight, which I never would have thought that Jim, 34, with a picture of his daughter and his puppy, would go so hard and say that he hopes that I die in a fire on the internet. But I think maybe that's just the stuff that stands out. I do my best to just be myself and to try to fight the best that I can and grow and learn. And I'm out there trying to do some things that are new and different, and some of them are a great idea, some of them less so, but you never really know until you try to fly the airplane. And so if there is support, I really am appreciative of that. That's very kind of people. And if I'm very thankful for the support that I do have, but I would just say I guess, no, I don't notice it a whole great deal. I'm in my own world a little bit, I guess.
Well, I think some things maybe make you a bit of a cult hero. Being incredibly good at jiu-jitsu helps, I think. And I think because people haven't gotten to see you, beating Artem, the GOAT, beating BJ Penn, maybe one of the actual GOATs.
Yeah.
Do you look back on that? I mean, how legendary was that heel hook against BJ Penn?
Oh man, I mean, I remember when BJ was walking in the ring, and I'm like, "Holy crap, that's BJ Penn!" And then inside my head, I'm like, "Shut up, Ryan, feel focused." But it was neat to get to compete against one of my idols, and I think objectively that was one of the greatest submissions in UFC history. Honestly, both in terms of the what happened, how it went down, what was pulled off, and the opposition that it was done against. But BJ is phenomenal. He is absolutely one of the greatest of all time. He's someone I really, really look up to and respect in the sport, and I feel just thankful to have had the opportunity to get in there. And just like all the fights that I've won, I could have lost them. And just like in a parallel universe, that first spinning hook kick that I hit Topuria with is 1 or 2 inches higher, and he's on his face in the first minute. But that is fighting is a game of inches in that regard. And in the BJ fight, it went my way. You try to do your best to stack things in your favor to the extent that you can, with proper strategy, proper preparation, technical development, things like that. But that's kind of, I think, the magical thing about fighting is it's unlike most regular sport in that there is just so much variability and so much volatility in there. And managing that is a tricky thing. And watching BJ do that over the years is amazing. And also when you stand there and in front of a guy like BJ and you go, "Hey, we're about the same size," and I'm like, "Holy moly, you fought Lyoto Machida?" Like, this guy is an absolute legend. So it is neat to have had the opportunity to compete against him and guys like Elkins as well. Darrick Minner was very tough. Artem is underappreciated because of maybe some of the things that he said and done, but he's a very, very tough guy as well. My last opponent was tough. I'm happy to be here and thankful for the challenges ahead.
In terms of at the top of the interview, greatest MMA grapplers, I mean, the guy in the main event's pretty good. Hey, do you think he's going to beat Dustin? He's been pretty impressive of late.
It's hard to say. I mean, Charles Oliveira, he's been phenomenally impressive of late. I mean, he's I think an inspirational character personally, because obviously a great fighter, someone who's had some ups and downs, like most people that have been in the game for a long, long time. But man, he's as dangerous as anyone in mixed martial arts. Has excellent submissions, really improved, and now excellent striking. Seems like he's put his game together and understands exactly what he wants to do when he's out there. I don't think there's anyone in the world that a guy like Oliveira couldn't potentially beat, and I'll be watching the main event with great interest.
Is it difficult sometimes? We talked about it earlier, how this sport can kind of let you down when you put together your hopes a little bit. But have you got a plan about how to attack these rankings and how to get yourself where you should be?
Absolutely. I want to finish Darrick Minner on Saturday, and then I want to fight back into the rankings, and then I want to rematch with Ilia Topuria, and then I want to move forward. I want all of these back. I want to fight the best opposition that I possibly can. I'm looking forward to facing Darrick Minner. He's a tough guy. He's a step in that direction. But I look forward to fighting consistently and frequently for years to come, and I want to fight. That's all I can say. I've dealt with a lot of frustration, but and I didn't really get to show, I think, put my best foot forward last go around for a series of reasons. But all that matters is that we're here at this point, and I'm just excited to get back to it.
Do you think you've got maybe additional time left, like in terms of not having taken as much damage as other fighters might have taken? Have you got plenty left in the tank to go?
Very much so. I feel I've actually recently started, earlier this year. If I hadn't gotten hurt, I don't think I would have found the kind of physical therapy and strength and conditioning, system and organization that I've been able to start working with out of a hospital back home. And it's just been life altering. Like this time last year, I was like in pieces physically, which was really, really tough. And I felt pretty poor going into the fight with Ige. And I was like, it's all right. But I'm fine. You're like in your head every day saying, I'm okay. I feel fine. When in reality, you're walking around with like a 4 or 5 out of 10 level of pain from various things. And then ended up getting actually hurt. And then it started to get a little bit better, and then had some surgeries, did a little better, but and then broke my hand. But anyway, to come back, I would just say, there was a period of time where I was wondering how much time was left. And because I haven't taken much damage, but I have been around, martial arts at a high level for a long time. But no, I want to fight into my 40s. I want to take this as far as I can possibly go. And that's exactly what we're going to do.
Ige fight was supposed to be in March, right? He's up against Josh Emmett. Is that something that because you were supposed to fight him, you've already kind of had it in your mind. Is that something you're keeping an eye on? Is he still someone in the future for you?
Yeah, both Josh Emmett and Dan Ige are very tough guys. You know, they're up in the rankings for a reason. You know, those are absolutely people that I would look forward to getting into the ring with. You know, they both are very dangerous. You know, Emmett's always been dangerous. He knows what I think at that level of the game, people have a very strong sense of who they are, what their assets are, what they're there to do in the ring. And I think in addition to their skills, that makes them makes them dangerous. And I would just say that, yeah, I would look forward to pushing forward in that direction. But again, I'm focused on the fight ahead of me right now. I've been working hard, been working and improving, and I just can't wait to get back in the ring.
Last one then from me. Jose Aldo is kind of he's reminded everybody how good he is. So, you know, there's been different phases. Alex Volkanovski, arguably greatest featherweight of all time, but then the Max era, Jose Aldo, even Conor had his time because he was finishing other greats. Who's your greatest featherweight of all time?
I think it's hard to say, but I think probably Jose Aldo. You know, I mean, and that's tough because you're mentioning. I guess depends on how you want to define greatest. You could talk about someone's peak. You could talk about the reign, this, that, and the other. You know, Aldo is an absolute legend among legends, and you know what he's been able to do, and also to come back from some disappointing results periodically, which is incredibly difficult for anybody, much less a guy like a Jose Aldo who hasn't had so many disappointing results, at least not in his public life. It's an interesting thing. So obviously you can't take anything away from Max, can't take anything away from Volkanovski. You know, like Volkanovski in particular has done nothing but have success. You have to have an amazing amount of appreciation and respect for that. But I think Jose is particularly special to me because he's fought across multiple eras. He's like BJ Penn in that regard, but he's maintained his focus. He's maintained his ability at a high level. You know, it's greatest is a tricky thing, and particularly in fight sport, you know how it is. They're one-offs. You know, it's not a best of 10. So very, very frequently the results can be misleading. You know, on a grand level, I guess you could say it's easy to take the small sample size, 1-1, maybe 1-2, 1-3. If we're very, very well, we'll be lucky enough to have Volkanovski and Holloway 3, that's going to be another banger for sure. But how rare is that you have that much, data to draw from. And even then, that's only 3 games. I mean, think how many times, football teams, soccer teams, baseball, basketball teams play one another. So I think there's always going to be a greater degree of subjectivity in the discussion for combat sport. But for me, all 3 of those guys have been phenomenal. Obviously, McGregor had an amazing peak at featherweight as well. But I would say at this point in time, Aldo will be the one for me.
Ryan Hall, maximum respect. I appreciate it, man. Are we going to see you out in Singapore, Asia ever? Are you going to corner Tan at all? Or?
I would look forward to doing so, actually. Yep.
Awesome. Look forward to that.